Alright, welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be doing a sketchbook tour for a sketchbook that has taken me almost 3 years to film, which is kind of crazy because the first ELO sketchbook I ever filled, I filled in 4 months. Don't ask me how I did it. I guess I had a lot of time on my hands when I was 14. But this one took me almost 3 years. Well, it would be 3 years in November, end of November I believe. I have myself a soda here, and it's got a little crocheted coaster sleeve for it, because if you know what it's like drinking an iced drink out of a glass jar, anywhere you set the glass, water will remain. And this completely solves that issue, and yes, I made it. Alright, I'll try not to get sidetracked. This is the cover that I drew. Painted. I didn't paint, it was with markers. It is my character, Lady Amariah, in kind of her new outfit. This is the first cover I've done with her in specifically this designed outfit, because in my previous sketchbooks or on them, she had different attire, and I changed it to be a little more original after I've learned a lot more about medieval/fantasy attire or garb. So, let's get started. And no, I never did the first page. Don't judge. We're gonna ignore that. Alright. It all goes back to November 27th of 2022. Just going into the Christmas season, kind of. We have some doodles. Ideas for stickers. Never really made the stickers, but they're cute, you know? Considering this is the first sketch in this sketchbook, I've wanted to redraw it so many times, so in my next sketchbook, I might just do that. Let me know if you want to see it recorded. It might just end up being a short. You're going to see a lot of smudging in this sketchbook because that's what happens to sketches, sadly enough. They used to be nice, crisp, and clear, but not anymore. And I'll try not to stay on one spread too long because I don't want this video to be years long. So I did the 12 Drawings of Christmas challenge, which was originally, I think, the 24 Drawings of Christmas that Sketch by Sketch started, and I just drew drawings based off of different prompts. I have them written next to them. Christmas sweater, cookies, shopping, bow, and candy cane. That's 5. Christmas pajamas was a difficult one because none of them looked like Christmas pajamas. Snowflake, I decided to draw one of my original characters, Asima Stalamark, and then Hot Cocoa right here. And of course I have doodles on the side that have nothing to do with the prompts, but it's, you know, something to fill the space in. Ornament, this was probably my favorite sketch of the entire challenge because I just really like the composition and the movement. Reindeer, I didn't want to draw a reindeer, so I draw a girl goofing around with reindeer antlers. And presents, or present, so I drew someone wrapping a present. This sketchbook specifically, I practiced and got really into illustration type art. So telling a story with art, if you know what I mean. So I definitely improved in that area of art over the past couple years or so. And Christmas lights, I suppose, were the last one. Probably my least favorite one because it's just very sketchy. Not a very clean drawing, but it's alright. This is the rough sketch for the, I think, cover? Yeah, cover of my sketchbook. Why do I always like the sketch better than the finished piece? Oh well. I did a video on this, at least drawing these two, where I drew Victorian ball gowns. That was fun. Random sketches. As you can see, very messy. Again, they don't look not as nice as they used to, which is just incredibly sad. But this one was probably my favorite watercolor piece in this entire sketchbook for the longest time because it was so simplistic, and I don't think I'd ever really experienced doing a simplistic light watercolor piece before, least of all in this sketchbook, and so it was something new I realized I could do, and it looked pretty nice in my opinion. Character I designed. This was the character I did for Drawing with Waffles that I sent her. I guess I decided to draw her here. Asima Stellamark, Lady Amariah. This one's also Lady Amariah. You can see her attire. Random person, Asima Stellamark, Lady Amariah, nobody. More randomness. Some of these sketches I remember doing on a vacation, which makes it feel like it's been even longer that I was working on this sketchbook, because that vacation I went on was like, feels like forever ago. But I was trying to design a helmet for Lady Amariah. I wanted to make her armor, but helmets are something that are really hard for me to draw, or were. Maybe they still are. I don't draw a lot of them. And I was really struggling because these look disgusting. They look terrible, okay? This one's not terrible. I don't like most of them though. This was for a Draw This in Your Style. I decided to sketch out a couple of practice ideas before doing the final one. I have a giant portfolio of old art, and I'm trying to find the finished marker illustration that I did for that. Ah, there it is. This was the finished piece for that. I really, really liked this, and I really liked that too. Markers are fun. Ah, an anatomy study. This is one of my absolute favorite colored pencil pieces in here. Just the way I executed it, you know. I did the purple pencil first, then I want to say I colored it, then I used like a cheap Bic pen to line it with. So yeah, I like that the line art isn't overpowering, but it does just enough to define it and make it really stand out. I really like this one. The people who I show my sketchbook to, this specific one always stands out to them for some reason. A little pen sketch. The Drawing with Waffles character again. More illustration type work, I suppose, here. I tend to like my characters to look like they're doing something instead of just standing there. That's not always the case, but it's what I prefer. This one I was a huge fan of, except I found out like a month or so after I drew it that her hands are backwards. They were supposed to be flipped around. In the moment, I suppose, when I was drawing it, I was a little confused. But I really like the pose. Messy sketches. I almost want to be through with using pencil here because of how much it smudges, because it's just like completely ruined this one. Not that it was worth looking at. I found the reference for this on Pinterest, and what's strange is that I feel like I have tried drawing this specific piece with that reference at least 2 or 3 times, and every single time I've never liked the way it looked. And I don't think it's the reference's fault, because it's pretty cool. I guess I don't execute it very well. If anything, I like the owl, but I sketched this, I want to say, while watching a video by Sketch by Sketch, because she was drawing something, like a gown or a dress in it that really inspired me, and so I decided to draw a mermaid gown. I drew this girl looks like she's on a mission. It's because the day I drew it, I was on a mission. It wasn't an easy one. This one I drew in church. Don't know how I remember that, but somehow I do. Some of these are just so random. Oh my. And some of them have like actual stories behind them. A guy. I don't draw guys very often, as you can see why, because they're not easy. Also, I feel like all of my noses look the same. I need to do different noses. Right, this one stands out in here just because it's colored. It wasn't for the longest time, but I did end up coloring it with colored pencil. I like using colored pencils in the little sketchbook because if used right, they just look so smooth and satisfying. And this was a character design challenge, which she looks, I don't know, it looks so, like, too much. Very outlandish looking. I should have been a little more simplistic with her design, but I guess I was going for something detailed. Eek. Ah, this is a trading card I did on like a thin piece of paper. I just taped it in here. A little doodle I did on a sticky note. And shepherd's purse, which is an herb that is good for you, if you didn't know. I've noticed that I go through phases of not feeling like drawing in my sketchbook because I want the drawings that I do put in my sketchbook to look a certain way or to look nice, which I shouldn't feel that way, honestly, because the way the sketchbook is formatted, it really should be no pressure to do things perfect, because if you don't get one sketch right, you can do another right next to it for it to look better. And if none of them look nice, at least you have filled the spread, and that in and of itself can look nice, even if the drawings don't look great. So I drew a lot of stuff outside of my sketchbook and then later taped and word glued them in. This piece is from a photo I took. My sister took it, actually. I sewed the corset I'm wearing here, and then this was a linen skirt with a blouse-like top. And this is what I wore for my 18th birthday, because the party I threw for my 18th birthday was Hobbit themed, essentially the way a hobbit would throw a party. So lots of food, charcuterie, soup, people dressed up. We had music, dancing. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, not every spread is going to look that great. I like this one though. This spread I was a huge fan of. And honestly, around this time I was noticing that drawing on sticky notes and then taping them in was something I was doing a lot of. And so I was like, let's imitate that sticky note look. So I took gouache and I painted blocks and shapes all over in here. And first I drew inside the shapes, and then I filled in the space. And it created a very neat aesthetic looking page. And I ended up with drawings that I wouldn't have otherwise ended up with if I didn't have this these boxes to work within. Sometimes working outside the box isn't always the most inspiring. Having those boundaries can really help sometimes. A couple of dancing poses. One I found off Pinterest. One I tried making up. I think I tried making it up and I don't like it, so. This was for a dress I designed for a dance, which I did end up sewing, except it didn't turn out to be this long, but it looks essentially the same. This was all the math behind figuring it out. I made a removable skirt that came off of it, and I didn't end up going with this shape of a skirt, but I did still make a removable tulle skirt. Kept track of my price, what it would cost me, made a little paper doll thing, and these like to fall out of here all the time. Ah, the pen sketch page. We have a ballerina, and then I switched to a thicker pen, like a jelly type pen. This one was with a Bic, and it's my cat, supposed to be, and I really liked this one. Then this is me trying to imitate the same watercolor style I did in the beginning with this piece. It didn't quite look the same style though, but it still looks nice. If anything, there's less dark line art on this one, and I feel like there's a little too much on this one compared to this, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. Around this time I was beginning to realize how tall I was making my characters. She's like Barbie tall, I feel like. I don't know. Yes, this is me having figured out her armor. Yes, Lady Amariah's armor and her helmet. And her armor kind of imitates her dress that she wears. She kind of like wears a skirt with the top sometimes. So yeah, faces. This page did not get smudged that much, and you want to know why it didn't? Because watercolor, whether it's the gum arabic or one of the binders in the paint, it seals the graphite in. So you can't erase the graphite, but you also can prevent smudging from happening. And then I did this one. I did this one without a reference because I've done a couple other two characters interacting closely in the past, and I think I used references for both of them, and I wanted to see what I could do without a reference, so that's not bad. My cat, Atlas, a random character floating. This one was with watercolor pencils. This was a drawing someone told me to draw, which honestly I kind of feel like I would like to do in my next sketchbook, and that is to take recommendations. It would give me a guideline to follow, which in and of itself for some reason inspires me sometimes, because having unlimited possibilities and freedom of things to draw can end up causing me to lose inspiration just by not being able to think of something to draw, or just the overwhelming array of options. But if I ever wanted to take requests or suggestions and then maybe record them for shorts, that might be something I could do in the future, because I feel like I'd have a lot of fun with that. We have a gouache painting. We have an inked painting, or an inked drawing with a colored pencil. Kind of looks like a candy cane style character. And then we have my cat, Storm, that went missing a couple years or so ago. And then Atlas, my latest cat. He's kind of a doofus, but I love him. So I designed them both as characters. And then I decided to turn a cat into a dragon. So this is Lady Mariah's pet, a cat dragon. Or a dragon cat. They're kind of like common house pets in the story, in my OC's story. But she has an unusual type of house cat because it ends up growing to be very, very, very big, to the point where she can ride it. But it's not like a giant war dragon, and they're not easily rideable. But Lady Mariah's, she's a small character, so it's kind of her sidekick character, Atlas the dragon. And yes, I decided to name him Atlas because it's a cool name. This is what the house pet size looks like in scale. And here's I think my first attempted drawing of one. Yeah. This one got smudged up so bad. This was a stick figure, but more detailed, like based off of a stick figure. But then I thought it was weird to give her a hoodie, because then she doesn't have pants. So why did I give her clothes? But she's also a stick man. My siblings were watching a lot of Alan Becker stick man animations, and so I wanted to draw what I felt like maybe blue would look like. I don't know. We have another attempted painting of Lady Mariah with watercolor. And then I remember I did a lot of comparisons between the two here. And they both look nice. But I was finally able to create a painting in my sketchbook in a similar style as the previous one, but that I like better. So, because sometimes I will do something neat with art and I'll try to recreate it and I won't be able to. And it's like a mystery, or I see it as kind of like a challenge. Like, I gotta figure out what made that piece so right, so good. So I was happy when I came out with this one. Oh yes, some action poses here. I drew this one in a previous sketchbook, wanted to draw it again. I think this was on the cover of one of my previous ones, actually. A little bit of action. Conradine Halibeth, that's that character, also known as Connie. And then also Connie. This was for a Draw This in Your Style entry, which, in my opinion, I think I did a pretty good job on it. But I don't know if it's just me, but I sometimes feel like when I enter a contest or Draw This in Your Style, I always do so good on the entry that I'm almost jealous of myself for doing such a good job on an artwork that in the end isn't technically mine because it's not my character. And I feel like I tend to feel bad that it looks like I put more effort into, creative effort I should say, into a Draw This in Your Style challenge artwork rather than my own. And so I try to make things better, I suppose. I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to be like twice as proud of my Draw This in Your Style entries as I am of my own usual art. So maybe that's the challenge in me. And maybe that's why I should take like suggestions from you guys or something, because maybe that would make a difference. I don't know. The Zorn palette. Did some swatches in here, and this is just, I think, with either watercolor or gouache. I want to say it's with watercolor, actually. So I didn't do a good job swatching it, but I still think it looks neat. And these, why didn't they smudge? Don't ask, but they look pretty awesome, don't they? I like them. I'm surprised they didn't smudge. More action and sloppy work. This is my Warriors of the King crest symbol. I bought a wax seal stamp, a custom one with this design on it, so I can send letters with like a wax seal with this imprint on it. I did this with 3, I think, twistable Crayola colored pencils. That's why it kind of has that interesting neon look. And this page was all right. I forgot what I was doing. I might have been practicing drawing myself for a future Meet the Artist project that I didn't end up doing, and I was trying to experiment with what I felt like, which one of my outfits best captured, I guess, me. I really like this one. Watercolor pencils, doodles of action and characters. Really like this one. I ended up making a trading card out of it, and I did end up giving that one away, but I can show that up on the screen. Practicing expressions. Reference found on Pinterest. Yep, not my own, but I still like it. And then we have one of my favorite spreads in the entire book. Essentially, I was intending on doing, for a Draw This in Your Style, multiple slides on my Instagram of me doing things that I enjoy doing a lot. So I drew myself painting, embroidering, that would essentially include most any handiwork like crochet and sewing, guitar, reading, archery, and writing, which honestly it looks like I'm in a bathrobe, but that's my coat. It's my trench coat. And it's kind of the same pose as the reading one, so I think I was going to scrap that one and come up with something else, but this is what they look like. My favorite one is this one and this one. And then we have my anatomy spread. I did this study to teach myself essentially how I would teach you guys if I made a YouTube video on how I drew the human body. So that's what this was. I always think, no, I'm going to practice and warm up first, and then I'll do a tutorial. And then after all of that warming up, I end up with all of these, and I'm like, why didn't I just film it? Why didn't I just film it? Because then I end up with, I literally have loads and loads of papers over the years of me warming up with drawing anatomy that I never filmed. And so that's how I've never gotten around to it. So next time I warm up, I'll just film the whole thing, because I need to stop warming up and then never actually filming. This was a study of a couple other people's artwork, I think. Art style study, original by Nerva Rose, 17. And it's Lopez, Murthina. I like those. Yeah. And then I did some of my own afterwards. I just really liked the way the bone structure of the face was done. And so I tried to practice a little, and then I drew a couple of my own. And you can still tell there's a difference between mine and theirs, which is fine. I wasn't trying to copy or, you know, take on their style as my own, but just learn a couple things from them. Yeah, this is watercolor pencils, but I never actually went over it with the watercolor. And this is the dress that I sewed for the dance that I went to. Tried to draw mostly guys on this spread, and partway through I ditched it and was like, no, I can't do this. We're doing girls. And then this space was empty, so I went back and filled this one. And I did these. Here's a gouache painting. Really like how this turned out. Looks kind of like Astrid. I didn't use a reference of her, and so I just drew her from memory. So it's Astrid, but it doesn't look quite like her. And then Lady Verity. Something I've started to do new this year is, so I bought a Canon camera. So I've been taking photos all summer and spring, and I've ended up with a huge collection of candid shots of like family members or people that I can and have been using as reference photos. And the great thing about that is they're all my own completely. There's no copyright issues. So I have a dancing pose of me and someone. My friend had the camera at the time. And let me tell you, dancing poses are so hard to get on Pinterest. They're either from a movie, or the photos belong to someone else, or someone else drew the image. And so I have like one or two like perfect dancing pose shots that someone else got, because I did some dancing throughout the summer with friends, and I have like one of the perfect shots that I'm going to draw. All right, lots of random sketches. Lady Verity, Conradine or Connie. And then after drawing Lady Verity, I was like, you know what? Every time I draw one of my characters who's based off of one of my friends, they all have like essentially the same build or body type. And I'm like, because of that, they don't look like they're based off of my friends. And so I decided to go ahead and actually try and draw her actual build or what she looks like. And then it made me kind of get into trying to practice drawing a wider variety there. But you know, little differences can make, little changes can make a big difference, I've found. I did these at a youth convention in Colorado, Estes Park. So YMCA of the Rockies, that was a fun experience. I brought a notebook to take notes during the different events we went to, and did I take notes? Okay, I did take some, but these are just the ones I tore out for this. And we have a limited color palette. Technically, I only used 2 colors to paint this, which was this green chartreuse and this apple red. And I just mixed those colors together in different ratios to get every other color that's in there. Then we have my cat. And I'm pretty sure I incorporated a little bit of black in order to get that, but I can't remember. Ah yes, me and my sister, reference from Lowly Feather. She has a very cute art style. It's her Instagram. And then more pen sketches, which don't look too terrible considering how long they've been in here. Painted this one. Really like the way that one turned out. And then we have this piece of Lady Mariah, except this time she's wearing like what looks like mechanical gear or something, but I was trying to draw or envision like a dragon rider, and it made me think of like pilot and maybe what they would wear or something, but I don't know. The design needs a little bit of work. And then these messy sketches. And I did this at my work, I think. This is me. The hair doesn't match because my hair is not as straight as that, but the outfit is mine. The skirt, I sewed. This is my friend. And then random sketches. And then an anatomy study. I think I enjoyed this. I especially liked this page right here. I don't know why. And then I drew this picture, a part of the same anatomy study, and I felt like it was a bit stiff. I was using a reference photo, and so then I decided to put away the reference photo and draw again based on what I learned, and I like this one better. Like, I feel like there's more movement and emotion in it. I don't know how that is what it is, but sometimes I found using a reference can cause my anatomy to look stiff. And then expressions, different face types, I suppose, is what I was trying to go for here. We're getting towards the end. This is something I think I didn't even use a reference for. I just wanted to draw someone reading. And then 3 people I saw at the dance I went to in April, the 3 people who stood out to me the most. And then we have this from my last video. These sketches once looked nice. Believe me, they're getting so smudged. And I painted this one in the previous video. So, yeah. And last page is this one. I did a short on this. I do like how it turned out for the most part. There's a lot of mistakes in it. I feel like I could have done better if I didn't feel rushed. Also, I had this page pretty much finished for like 2 months, and I didn't want to start my new sketchbook until I finished this. But then I also wanted to do it as a short, so that also prevented me from drawing on the last page because I wanted to film it. So a lot of reasons why I went fast on this. It was just kind of something I wanted to get done. It's me. The journey continues. As usual, a little anatomy study. And I will show you these 6 sketches in the back. We have this one. This one is what I was gonna put on the back here, but decided I didn't want to. Another sketch. Another one. This was for a drawing my subscribers OC's video. These didn't end up making it into the video though because a couple of them didn't really work out very well. Instead of trying to redraw them, I ended up doing everything digitally. A marker illustration. This one's actually in card format. This one I painted on homemade paper, and it was kind of difficult to do. Is that an axolotl? A couple of them. I was designing something that I could paint on a t-shirt for one of my siblings. This silly sketch. Ugh. See one of the dresses. End up in the back. My cat, Atlas with a tie. A marker. Portrait. My cat again, this time colored. I don't know why that's in there. My cat again. This I didn't paint. Well, I did the ship. But one of my youngest brothers did the main part, and then my sister added something, and then I added the ship, and so it's kind of like a collab piece. It looks very abstract, but it's kind of cool. Character designs. Not even mine. I was trying to envision what Alan Becker's Stickman animation characters would look like, not as Stickman. A little watercolor portrait. My youngest brother loves How to Train Your Dragon, and so his favorite dragon is the Speed Stinger, and he wanted to draw it, but he also wanted me to draw it. So I found a reference photo, and as I was drawing it, I had him copy me, so it was kind of an art lesson, and he did a pretty good job. But this one's mine. This one I did as a joke because I was looking in a mirror and it made me look like Megamind, and so I decided to design a character that kind of had a Megamind shaped head, but like purple. So that's kind of weird. I did not draw this. A friend of mine drew it and gave it to me. It's honestly so cute. There's a little drawing on a ripped up paper. It kind of adds to the cuteness in my opinion. Weird. Practicing some different proportions. Another axolotl. This I really enjoyed because I was practicing with color theory, specifically with watercolor medium, and I painted everything yellow first and then I put the colors on top, and it created a very neat yellow tinted vintage look. Makes me think of an old children's book. I was thinking of turning this into an actual drawing, so this was a thumbnail. More thumbnails. I forgot what I was specifically planning to do these for. This was just a duck for an embroidery project that I did. Another thumbnail. Another one. Another one. This was just a doodle. I could have just stuck this in the book somewhere. This one I colored. Ah, okay. So this is the one I actually ended up painting in my sketchbook. You probably remember that one. This was also for an embroidery project, and this was kind of an artwork idea that I didn't end up doing. This was for a collab from actually a long time ago, I think. And then these were the other never to be seen artworks from the Drawing My Subscribers OC's challenge. As you can see, I did 2 of her because this girl had 2 different outfits, and I just didn't like the way most of them looked. That's pretty much my sketchbook, and I have a lot of artwork outside of just my sketchbook that I did this summer. Some artwork that I entered in the fair, and I could probably show this up on the screen here. That was exciting. This isn't going to go in there, is it? Okay. And then this was just a quick study I did. This practicing with watercolor on this paper. I decided to just draw a bunch of faces, and that was fun. The journey really does continue, my friends, and I look forward to starting a new sketchbook because, again, I've had this one for an incredibly long time, and I'm ready to be finished. Well, I am finished. So, yeah. Thank you for coming along with me. If you watched through all of that, I'm impressed, and thank you. So, if you have any video ideas, I'd love to hear them. They always inspire me. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.